Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed seekers of wisdom, today we stand at the intersection of two seemingly paradoxical elements, love like lightning and love like lace. One is fierce, sudden, and overwhelming. The other is delicate, intricate, and enduring. Yet, when we reflect deeply on the nature of love, we can see how these forces are not as disparate as they appear. Love, in its truest form, is often compared to a powerful, uncontrollable force of nature. It arrives without warning, sweeping us off our feet, much like a bolt of lightning tearing through the sky in a sudden burst of brilliance. Lightning is an awe-inspiring phenomenon, both dangerous and mesmerizing, and love shares these qualities. It strikes without expectation, with intensity, leaving behind a profound impact that resonates long after its initial spark. But like lightning, the power of love is not something we can control. When love hits us, it can feel like a jolt, a sudden surge of emotion that shakes us to our core. It pulls us in and transforms us in ways we never anticipated. We are often left in its wake, grappling with its overwhelming presence, unsure of how to deal with the rush of feelings it awakens within us. In this way, love mirrors lightning's raw energy. It is unpredictable, intense, and forces us to confront things about ourselves that we may not have been ready to face. This is part of what makes love so powerful and, in many ways, so transformative. However, love is not solely a force of destruction. While lightning can bring devastation, it also carries the potential for growth and renewal. After a lightning storm, the earth is often left more fertile, as the energy released has enriched the soil. Similarly, love, though it may feel overwhelming or even painful at times, has the potential to change us for the better. It opens us to deeper emotions, to vulnerability, to connection. Just as lightning illuminates the sky, love has the ability to bring clarity to our lives, helping us see ourselves and the world around us in ways we couldn't before. It awakens a deeper understanding of who we are, what we desire, and what we are willing to give. The Stoic perspective teaches us that while we cannot control the external forces of life, such as the lightning storm or the unpredictable nature of love, we can control our response to them. In this way, love, much like lightning, becomes a tool for self-growth. When love strikes, it is not our job to fight it, nor to attempt to control it. Instead, we must learn to embrace it, to allow ourselves to experience its intensity while maintaining a sense of composure and clarity. This is where Stoic wisdom comes into play, the ability to accept the forces that come our way, to accept love as it is, without trying to bend or mold it into something we want. We must learn to experience love without being swept away by it, to acknowledge its power without allowing it to dominate our lives. This is not to say we should suppress love, but rather that we must approach it with a sense of equanimity. Stoicism teaches us to embrace what comes our way without attachment or aversion, and this includes love. When we view love as a force that, much like lightning, comes and goes, we free ourselves from the grip of expectation and allow ourselves to experience its beauty without fear of its eventual departure. In the same way that lightning reshapes the landscape, love shapes our very being. It makes us question our beliefs, reevaluate our priorities, and ultimately, it challenges us to grow. And while this growth may come with discomfort, it also brings immense fulfillment. When we allow ourselves to fully experience the force of love without resistance, we create the space for true transformation. We learn to appreciate love's unpredictability and to understand that its intensity, though at times overwhelming, is a natural part of the human experience. The power of love, like lightning, lies not in its ability to stay forever, but in its ability to spark change. It awakens us to the possibility of something greater, something beyond the everyday. In the sudden flash of its arrival, we are reminded of the beauty and the unpredictability of life itself. Love is a force of nature, wild, uncontainable, and, when embraced fully, capable of transforming our lives for the better. Love is not simply a force of passion or intensity. It is a balance of both strength and fragility. This dual nature of love is beautifully captured through the metaphor of lace. Lace is often regarded as something intricate and delicate, composed of fine threads woven together in patterns that are both elegant and intricate. Despite its delicate appearance, lace is also surprisingly resilient, capable of withstanding wear and time. Love, much like lace, is composed of both strength and fragility, and it is through this balance that it becomes something truly extraordinary. At first glance, love may seem fragile, like the fine threads of lace that can tear with a single wrong move. Relationships can be broken by harsh words, unmet expectations, or misunderstandings. There are times when love feels vulnerable, when the slightest misstep can cause harm. In moments like these, we may feel that love is too delicate to endure, and that it might crumble under the weight of the world's challenges. However, this perceived fragility does not mean that love is weak. Rather, it signifies that love requires care, attention, and understanding. Just as lace must be handled with care to preserve its beauty, so too must love be nurtured and protected. Yet beneath this fragility lies strength, just as lace, when woven together properly, becomes something remarkably durable. True love is not merely about emotion or fleeting attraction. It is built upon a foundation of trust, respect, and commitment. These qualities, though they may seem invisible, are what give love its strength. Like lace, love's true resilience is often unseen, but it allows relationships to withstand the pressures and trials of life. The threads that bind people together in love may be delicate, but they are also powerful when intertwined. When relationships are founded on respect and understanding, even the most difficult challenges can be weathered. This delicate balance between strength and fragility also speaks to the complexity of human emotions. Love is not one-dimensional, it is multifaceted, encompassing joy, sorrow, passion, and tranquility all at once. At times, love may feel light and airy, like the soft lace of a gown, delicate and tender. At other times, love may feel heavy and intense, like the unyielding force that binds the threads of lace together, creating something powerful and lasting. This ever-shifting nature of love requires us to be adaptable, to find balance in moments of joy and in moments of pain. Just as lace can appear soft and ethereal while being firmly grounded in its structure, so too can love appear gentle while offering a bedrock of stability and strength beneath. In relationships, we often face moments when love feels fragile. We may fear that it will not last, or that we will lose the connection we've worked so hard to build. Yet, it is during these times that we are called upon to nurture love, to pay attention to the threads that bind us to one another. When we tend to love with care and patience, it becomes stronger over time, just as lace, when properly maintained, continues to endure. It is in these moments of vulnerability that love's true strength emerges, as it grows and deepens through effort, understanding, and mutual respect. Moreover, love, like lace, is often marked by complexity. Each thread, each gesture, each conversation weaves together the broader tapestry of our relationships. The beauty of lace is in its design, a series of individual elements that, when combined, create something greater than the sum of its parts. So too, in love, it is the small moments, an encouraging word, a shared look, a gesture of kindness, that build the strength of the connection. These seemingly insignificant acts are what strengthen the bond over time, just as the fine threads of lace come together to form a beautiful and enduring piece of art. In conclusion, love is like lace because it is both delicate and strong, intricate and resilient. It requires care and attention, but when nurtured, it becomes something incredibly enduring. The fragility of love teaches us to cherish it and to handle it with respect, while its strength reminds us that even in the face of challenges, love has the power to endure and grow. Through this balance, love becomes a force capable of withstanding the test of time, remaining beautiful, strong, and meaningful through all the complexities of life. Love, in its most profound form, is ephemeral, fleeting, and transient, much like the sudden flash of lightning across the sky. The brilliance of that moment is undeniable, but it is gone in an instant, leaving only the memory of its power. This impermanence is one of the fundamental truths about love, and it is precisely because of its fleeting nature that love becomes all the more precious. Stoic philosophy teaches us that the world is in constant flux, and nothing lasts forever, not even the most powerful emotions we experience. Recognizing the impermanence of love, however, does not diminish its beauty or importance. On the contrary, it deepens our appreciation for it, helping us to embrace love more fully and to live in the moment. When we acknowledge that love is transient, we come to understand that its true value lies in its fleetingness. Just as lightning lights up the night sky for a brief moment but leaves behind a lasting impression, so too does love. Though it may not last forever, its impact can be profound and enduring. This recognition calls us to savor each moment of love, to cherish it while it is present, rather than taking it for granted or assuming it will always be there. In doing so, we come to value love not as a permanent fixture in our lives, but as a rare and beautiful gift, one that is worthy of appreciation precisely because it is not everlasting. The Stoic view of impermanence encourages us to cultivate an attitude of acceptance towards the fleeting nature of life and love. We are reminded that we cannot control the forces that shape our experiences, and that love, like all things in the natural world, is subject to change. There may be times when love feels strong and certain, as if it will last forever, but there are also moments when it fades or shifts, and we must learn to accept those changes without resistance. Stoicism teaches us that the key to peace is not in trying to hold on to things we cannot control, but in accepting the world as it is and finding contentment in the present moment. In relationships, this understanding of impermanence can bring a sense of peace and freedom. We may fear losing love, whether through distance, change, or time, but when we embrace the idea that nothing is permanent, we are freed from the anxiety of attachment. Instead of clinging to love out of fear or insecurity, we can allow it to unfold naturally, without the pressure of expecting it to last forever. This acceptance allows us to experience love with greater authenticity, to give and receive it fully, without the need to grasp at it tightly, knowing that its beauty lies in its impermanence. Love's transient nature also teaches us the importance of living in the present moment. If we are always focused on the past, wishing for a time when love was more intense, or always looking toward the future, hoping that love will remain as it is, we miss out on the richness of the love we have right now. By accepting that love, like lightning, will flash brightly and then fade, we are encouraged to be present, to embrace the love we share today, knowing that it may not always be the same tomorrow. This mindfulness allows us to experience love more deeply, without the distractions of fear or regret. Furthermore, Impermanence gives us a deeper understanding of what it means to cherish love. When we understand that love is not forever, we begin to treasure it more, knowing that each moment is precious and irreplaceable. This awareness leads us to prioritize our relationships, to invest in them with the fullness of our hearts, and to appreciate the moments of connection and intimacy we have with others. We begin to see love not as something that we are entitled to, but as a gift that must be nurtured and cared for in the time we have together. In conclusion, the transient nature of love is not a cause for sorrow, but a reminder to live fully in the present. By accepting that love, like all things, is fleeting, we learn to appreciate its beauty more deeply and to experience it with greater intensity. We come to understand that the impermanence of love does not diminish its value, rather it enhances it, reminding us to cherish every moment we have with those we care for. Through the Stoic practice of acceptance and mindfulness, we can embrace love in its fullest expression, knowing that its temporary nature makes it all the more precious. In life, and especially in love, we cannot control everything. We cannot dictate when love will strike, how it will unfold, or when it might fade. Love, much like the forces of nature, operates beyond our ability to command or foresee. Stoic philosophy offers us profound insights into how we should respond to such uncontrollable forces. It teaches us that peace and freedom come not from trying to control the uncontrollable, but from accepting it with grace and composure. This is particularly true when it comes to love. Rather than trying to mold love into something we desire or expect, Stoicism encourages us to embrace it as it is, acknowledging that there are aspects of it we simply cannot shape or define. We often enter relationships with certain expectations of how love should feel, when it should happen, or how it should evolve. These expectations can lead to disappointment, frustration, or even suffering, because love, by its very nature, is unpredictable. Just like lightning, it may strike suddenly and unexpectedly, or it may flicker out in ways we did not anticipate. This unpredictability is one of the reasons why love can be so overwhelming. It refuses to follow a script or fit neatly into our plans, and when we try to impose control over it, we often find ourselves struggling against its natural flow. The Stoic practice of accepting what is beyond our control teaches us that true freedom comes from releasing our attachment to outcomes. When we approach love with this mindset, we learn to let go of rigid expectations and simply experience it for what it is. This acceptance allows us to love more fully without the constant worry of whether things will go the way we think they should. In other words, we stop trying to control love and instead we allow it to be a natural, evolving force in our lives. Accepting love as it is without attempting to control it also means acknowledging the possibility that love may not always look the way we imagined. Love may change over time. It may become more profound and steady, or it may lose its intensity. It may evolve into something different from what we first experienced. And yet, this is not a cause for despair. Rather, it is a part of the natural course of relationships. By accepting this impermanence, we free ourselves from the anxiety of trying to keep love in a fixed state. The Stoic philosophy reminds us that the only thing we can control is our response to life's circumstances, and in the realm of love, this means accepting that love may not always meet our expectations, but that it can still be valuable and meaningful. The idea of controlling love can also lead us into unhealthy patterns of behavior. If we try too hard to control how others feel about us or demand that love remain in a certain form, we risk stifling the very essence of love itself. True love cannot be confined or manipulated. It is a dynamic and evolving experience shaped by both partners, by circumstances, and by time. Attempting to impose our will on love not only diminishes its authenticity, but also creates unnecessary suffering for ourselves and for those we care about. When we relinquish our need to control, we allow love to unfold naturally with all its complexity and unpredictability. In relationships, the wisdom of Stoicism teaches us that we can control our actions and reactions, but not the behavior or emotions of others. Love requires a great deal of trust in ourselves, in the other person, and in the unfolding journey of the relationship. Instead of trying to control how love will develop, we should focus on cultivating virtues that nurture it: patience, understanding, empathy, and honesty. These qualities, more than any attempt at control, create a strong foundation for lasting love. When we surrender the need to control the unpredictable nature of love, we invite the possibility of deeper connection, greater freedom, and more meaningful relationships. Moreover, by practicing acceptance in love, we also create a space for mutual respect. In any relationship, both individuals must have the freedom to grow, evolve, and express themselves. If we are overly focused on controlling the relationship or the feelings of our partner, we inadvertently limit their autonomy and stifle the growth of the love itself. Instead of controlling, we learn to support, to listen, and to grow alongside one another. This mutual respect and acceptance create an environment in which love can flourish freely, without being burdened by unrealistic expectations or demands. In conclusion, love, in its purest form, cannot be controlled. It is an unpredictable force that defies our attempts to master it. Stoicism teaches us that true peace and fulfillment come from accepting this unpredictability, releasing our need to control love, and instead focusing on how we can respond to it with wisdom and grace. By embracing love as it is, without attachment to specific outcomes, we free ourselves to experience it more fully and authentically, allowing it to grow and evolve naturally, in its own time and in its own way. True love at its core requires virtue. It is not simply the product of fleeting emotions or surface-level attraction, but the result of a deeper, more profound commitment to living in harmony with the principles of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Love, in its most enduring form, is grounded in these virtues, for they provide the foundation upon which lasting relationships are built. Stoic philosophy teaches us that virtue is the key to living a fulfilled life, and it is through cultivating virtue that we come to understand and practice true love. In a relationship, this means loving not just in moments of passion or joy, but consistently through the full spectrum of life's challenges. The first of the cardinal virtues, wisdom, plays a crucial role in love. It allows us to see clearly the needs and desires of our partner, to understand the deeper aspects of their character, and to navigate the complexities of the relationship with insight and understanding. Wisdom enables us to recognize that love is not always about receiving, but also about giving. That sometimes love means making difficult decisions, prioritizing the well-being of the relationship over our immediate desires. It teaches us that love is not based on perfection, but on the ability to learn from mistakes and to grow together. Wisdom reminds us that love requires both understanding and a willingness to adapt. It requires us to see the bigger picture, to understand that relationships take work, and that this work, though sometimes challenging, leads to growth, not only for ourselves but for the relationship as a whole. Courage, the second virtue, is essential to love because it enables us to face the uncertainties and vulnerabilities inherent in relationships. Love, by nature, requires vulnerability. We must open ourselves up to another person, showing them our true selves, flaws and all. This act of vulnerability requires great courage, for to love is to risk the possibility of pain, disappointment and heartache. Yet it is precisely through this courage that we experience the depth of connection and intimacy that love offers. Courage in love is not about bravado or sweeping gestures, but about standing firm in our commitment to love, even when it feels difficult or when challenges arise. It is the courage to stand by our partner, to support them through their struggles, and to face life's adversities together. Justice, the third virtue, is also integral to love. Justice in love means treating our partner with fairness, respect, and equality. It involves recognizing their worth and ensuring that the relationship is balanced and reciprocal. Justice requires us to act with integrity, to honor our promises, and to always strive to do what is right for both ourselves and our partner. It calls us to put the needs of the relationship first, and to ensure that we are contributing equally to the bond we share. A relationship that is rooted in justice is one where both individuals feel valued and heard, where both are free to express themselves and to pursue their individual goals while also nurturing the shared goals of the partnership. Without justice, love becomes a one-sided endeavor, which inevitably leads to resentment and disillusionment. The final cardinal virtue, temperance, is essential in love because it teaches us balance and moderation. In relationships, we must learn to temper our desires and impulses to avoid extremes that could harm the partnership. Temperance helps us maintain harmony by encouraging us to act with patience and restraint, to avoid rushing decisions or becoming overwhelmed by emotions. It teaches us the importance of self-control, not only in the way we manage our own actions, but in how we navigate the dynamics of the relationship. It is through temperance that we learn to appreciate love without overindulging in it, to give and receive in healthy amounts, and to maintain a sense of peace within ourselves, which in turn fosters peace in the relationship. By cultivating these virtues, we come to understand that love is not merely an emotional experience, but a practice, a continuous effort to live in alignment with our highest values. Love, like virtue, requires ongoing attention and care. It demands that we show up consistently, not only when things are easy, but also when they are difficult. In a relationship rooted in wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, love becomes a force for growth, transformation, and deep connection. It is a love that can withstand the challenges of life because it is built on a foundation that is both strong and flexible, capable of adapting and evolving as needed. In conclusion, true love is founded on virtue. It is through wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance that we cultivate love that lasts, love that is grounded in integrity and care. These virtues are the pillars upon which all healthy, enduring relationships are built, for they allow love to flourish in a way that is both meaningful and sustainable. It is through the practice of virtue in love that we come to understand its deepest form, one that transcends fleeting emotions and is instead rooted in the timeless values of a life well lived. The duality of love is that it can be both a source of immense joy and profound sorrow. This complexity, however, is not something to fear or avoid, but rather to embrace as a natural part of the human experience. In the Stoic tradition, we are taught that our emotional responses are not dictated by external circumstances, but by our perceptions of those circumstances. In love, this means that while we cannot always control what happens to us or how others behave, we can control how we respond to those events. Love, with all its unpredictability, teaches us to find peace not in perfect harmony, but in the acceptance of life's highs and lows, of joy and pain, and in the balance between them. Love, in its most genuine form, brings with it vulnerability. We open ourselves to another person, offering them pieces of our heart and soul, trusting them with our deepest emotions. This vulnerability makes love a deeply powerful experience, but it also makes it risky. The more deeply we love, the more we expose ourselves to the potential of loss, rejection, or betrayal. The Stoic approach to this is not to retreat into a shell, avoiding love for fear of pain, but rather to acknowledge the inevitability of such vulnerability and to accept it as part of the process. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that pain is not something to be feared, but something to be accepted and understood. It is a natural response to the impermanence of life, and it is through experiencing and confronting this pain that we learn resilience and gain deeper wisdom. At the heart of love's complexity is the recognition that no relationship is without its struggles. There are moments of misunderstanding, of differences, of emotional upheaval, all of which can test the strength of the bond we share with another. Yet, it is precisely in these moments of difficulty that love can grow stronger. Just as storms shape the landscape, the challenges we face in love shape our relationships, allowing them to evolve and deepen. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control these storms, but we can control how we weather them. By maintaining a sense of calm and clarity, even in the midst of emotional turmoil, we can navigate these challenges with greater wisdom, patience, and understanding. In times of difficulty, it is important to remember that love is not about avoiding pain or seeking perpetual happiness. Rather, it is about navigating the full spectrum of human emotions with grace and resilience. Love teaches us that both joy and sorrow are inevitable parts of life, and it is through embracing both that we come to understand the true depth of our feelings. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In the context of love, this means that our response to the joys and sorrows of love, whether it is the exhilarating rush of new connection or the heartbreak of loss, defines the quality of our experience. Love, in its purest form, is not about holding on to a perfect, unchanging vision of what we want it to be, but about accepting it as it is, in all its complexities and contradictions. Furthermore, love teaches us about the nature of attachment and detachment. While we are naturally inclined to form attachments to those we love, Stoic philosophy reminds us that we must not become so attached that we lose our sense of self or our sense of peace. Love, when it is healthy, should enrich our lives, not dominate them. It should not cause us to forget our own values, goals, or sense of purpose. In the face of pain or loss, Stoicism teaches us that we are still whole. Our love for others does not define us. Rather, it is the way we choose to love and respond to the challenges of life that shapes our character. In the end, the complexity of love lies not in the emotions it brings, but in our ability to accept the full range of experiences that come with it. Love is not always about eternal bliss or perfect harmony. It is about finding peace in the ups and downs, in the joy and the sorrow. Through Stoic principles, we learn to embrace love's complexities and to approach it not as something to be controlled or perfected, but as something to be lived fully with awareness, patience, and acceptance. By accepting the emotional duality of love, we come to understand its richness, its depth, and its transformative power. And in doing so, we find that love, in all its forms, becomes a source of profound personal growth and understanding. In conclusion, love, much like lightning and lace, is a force both powerful and delicate, fleeting yet enduring. Through the lens of Stoic philosophy, we come to understand that love is not a simple emotion, but a complex, multifaceted experience that requires both wisdom and acceptance. It is a force that, when treated with care, can endure and evolve, but also one that teaches us to accept its impermanence and to navigate its highs and lows with grace. In love, as in life, there are things we cannot control: the unpredictability of when love will strike, the ebb and flow of our emotions, and the challenges that arise within relationships. Yet, Stoicism guides us to focus not on what we cannot change, but on how we respond with virtue, with wisdom, with patience, and with resilience. True love is rooted in the cultivation of virtues such as wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. It is not merely an emotion to be experienced, but a practice to be nurtured, requiring ongoing commitment and effort. When we learn to approach love with the understanding that it is not about control or perfection, but about embracing its fullness, the joy, the pain, the vulnerability, and the transformation, we are better able to cultivate meaningful and lasting connections. By recognizing love as both fragile and strong, ephemeral and enduring, we are empowered to love more deeply, more authentically, and more fully. Stoicism teaches us that love, like life itself, is an ever-changing journey. It is through embracing both the joy and the sorrow, the calm and the storm, that we come to know the true beauty of love. And in this acceptance, we find not only love's greatest strength, but also our own.